that we administer for the county. So a little program overview. It's been about a 12-year partnership that they've been giving us money just for reimbursements for treatment of noxious weeds. We provide the funding through us from them. There's technical assistance from Garfield County Vegetation Management staff. We go out in the field. We probably complete 50 to 70 site visits every year and complete mapping for them. And then we administer all of the meetings to review all of these and cut checks to everybody. So a little bit just what it is it's 50% if the landowner hires a licensed applicator, 75% of the total cost if they are doing it themselves. And then kind of per acre, it's $125 per acre, $1,000 for less than 160, $1,250. The biggest property size, they get $2,000, shooting to be that 70 or 50%. Private land's eligible, HOAs are eligible. We do a lot of ditch easements. We go walk ditches, and then kind of some public lands like town parks participate in the cost share. It started pretty small. Steve Anthony here, he's been with Eagle County Vegetation Management and then Garfield County Vegetation Management for probably 20 years. He has been a big advocate for our districts. We kind of started with him, just doing some mapping for them, building it up, and now we get about 45,000 annually from them just for these cost share reimbursements and another pot of money for kind of administrative costs. So the process for this cost share is we're contacted by a landowner. Sometimes the county shoots people to us. If somebody is trying to get like a subdivision on their place, building and zoning stuff, they can require that they have to have a site map from us. And our CS will pitch people our way, outreach events, and district staff, kind of any way people talk about weeds. We say, hey, we have this cost share. So then a district employee goes out. Our staffing is me full-time, one district technician who isn't shared within our CS, just a district employee. And then we have two part-times. One does some engineering stuff for us, and one is a 17-year-old intern who we get 2 days in the summer, 1 day in the winter. And he goes out and does the weed mapping as well as our technician. So they go out, they map everything that they see. Then people, spring and fall, we have a review for these. So 2 deadlines a year. We need their invoices, rates that they applied, weed management plans, kind of all of that makes up their complete application. And then 2 times a year, we hold a review. The review board is made up of district board members from all 3 of these boards. And then Garfield County has a vegetation management board, their weed board. We get members from that. Our staff and at least one county staff person is there as well. And then we go through and cut checks to everybody who was approved. On site, here's an example of one of the maps a tech made. We just use a little handheld Garmin. I think those were like $300. One is like 5 years old at this point. The other's like 3 years old, and they still do great. So we wander around kind of a grid pattern through whatever ground we're mapping, and just you make a little waypoint and label whatever weeds you see. And then I hope everybody knows about this, but the state of Colorado has noxious weed fact sheets that are great for any state listed noxious weed, and all kind of treatment methods, be it mechanical, chemical, whatever you want. Those are all on the back. So we don't even have to know about those things. We just carry around an accordion file with those fact sheets and hand them out to people when we're on site. So the reviews, we get a whole room full of folks. We kind of project everything up. We can have upwards of 80 to 90 applications through the year for these reviews. So staff kind of goes through and red flags them, so we're not in the room for hours. And if it's something like the rates that they're using to apply it don't seem right, or there's a bunch of non-noxious weeds listed, kind of anything we feel like is a judgment call, we'll red flag it, and then the review board makes those. We also send out in a big Google Drive kind of all of the applications, all of the maps, everything we have for that year that can be reviewed before. So then if anybody wants to see applications we did in red flag, we can go through those as well. The money. So we dish out probably at least 45,000. I think one year we went up to 60,000 in reimbursements. And we do all of that. County kind of front loads us at the beginning of the year with this money. We have a bank account just for these funds and then cut a bunch of checks out of that, send it in the mail with any sort of letter. If we just kind of do a standard one, your application was approved and here's how much money we had and how many acres we treated this year. Or if it needs more of an explanation, we'll kind of tailor like next year, please include XYZ. And send all of those out. Participation in 2021, that was our biggest year we've ever had. We had 99 applications. I believe we approved all of those. Reimbursed about 50,000 that year. Total cost of treatment was 121,000. In 2022, we had 70. 2023, we had about 85. This year, we approved about 30 this spring, and are probably looking at least 50 for our fall round. This has also been kind of cool because we have this running program and maps all sorts of things. We have applied and been awarded lots of other grant dollars kind of for this program. The last couple years, I think it's been an additional $85,000, and 64 of that has gone directly out to landowners. And then 20, we did these noxious weed pocket guides that we mailed out, and then have for us at all of our outreach events. County has a bunch of them. So we got a bunch of dollars for that, about 20,000. Here's kind of an example of how we kind of pair the base cost share with some extra funding. Our Southside district historically has had the lowest participation in the overall county cost share. So the last 2 years we got CDA noxious weed grants. Last year we got a $5,000 grant. That board matched it with 5,000. So we had an additional 10 go out in that district. This year we got it 65 from CDA, and again the board matched cash 65,000. So all in all, we'll have about another 23 go out there. I think historically those are kind of bigger places, so the $1,000 or $2,000, if they're really hitting their weeds hard, doesn't cover that much, especially if they're hiring somebody where we are. There's also a ton of rush and knapweed and white top out there, so we kind of try and find them some extra dollars. Another example, this is one of the properties there. It's kind of cool. We can go through there's no limit on participation. You can participate as many years in a row as you'd like. This lady looks like she started with us in 2021. And clearly she's making some good progress out there. It's also good for these grants. We can just submit these maps and it makes grant reporting very easy because we already have them, so not really extra workload. This program has also kind of developed a good relationship between us and Palisade Insectary. We have a couple biocontrol nursery sites in our county for the bugs for Russian knapweed. So again, this is kind of where we put some biocontrol out there. So it's not all chemical. If you get folks that don't want to do that, we can provide other options. Another example, kind of where we're using the base dollars from the county and then getting some other dollars, is there's this big grazing pool, thousands of acres. It kind of crosses 2 county lines, Picken and Garfield County. So we went ahead and got that. They're in the Mount Sopris Conservation District, so Mount Sopris got a grant for them for 35,000, so we could help treat the weeds in Picken County, in addition to Garfield County. So they got the base cost share and then this additional dollars to cover what was sprayed in Picken County. They are also part of the America the Beautiful grant. We got funding for them for vents, virtual fencing collars, kind of a grazing management. But again, we're able to fold in some noxious weeds and provide the maps we do for them for any and all grant reporting or grant applications. These are kind of cool comparison maps our technicians make, where over years we can kind of give the dots a different color because we save all of our points. So you can see where maybe they're making progress, where maybe weeds are spreading, kind of a cool tool for us, their applicator, and the landowners. And I talked really fast, so that's my presentation. Does anybody have questions?
I do. If my
I'm ready.
camera will work. There we go. Do you and your board have any like things that you would like to extend it in the future, or like make it bigger or expand or do like a different kind of cost share or any of those things?
Yeah, so we have a whole other cost share for irrigation
Okay.
projects. Kind of conservation practice is what that cost share is called. And again, that is all county dollars. And that did kind of as this weed cost share grew and got more and more support and popularity. And then it's great. All of this we can go back to the county commissioners. We present to them annually kind of how we use those dollars. And we can say like we dished out, I think on average, probably 45 for the weeds and then 35. So $70,000 of what you give us goes back out into your community. And then we're leveraging it and getting other grants that go back out into the community. So it's kind of helped us expand. And we do have other cost shares. And I think last year they gave us extra dollars because we've gone over what they give us every year for the reimbursements. So yes, we kind of continue to build on it. It's a 12-year program that's still running.
That's awesome. That's great. Does anyone else have any other questions on how to get started or any of those sort of things?
Yeah, I have a question. Emily, was this a program that the that your county board of commissioners came to you with, or did you initiate this conversation? And how did the going about building this program? I'm sorry, I might have missed that in the beginning of your presentation. I apologize if you had already said that. How did this
No
come to
worries.
fruition
So
there?
yeah, I was not around during that time frame. But I do believe that it was Steve Anthony, who was the manager for veg management, has kind of headed it all off for us. Um, and when we go to the county commissioners, it's slightly us asking for dollars again. At this point, we're kind of included in some long run plans of theirs. It's still technically a discretionary funds is what we get it from, so there's no sure bet on it, but they're kind of building us into some long-term plans. And I really think that it was kind of Steve Anthony who headed that off. I do know there was conflict for the county that they wanted to have like we get to say we get to be the good guys in this, they get to be the bad guys. We're kind of the carrot. We dangle it in front of them, like treat your weeds and we'll send you a check kind of deal. Um, but it was difficult for the county because they can't really cut checks to individual landowners. So I think Steve saw using us as an opportunity to be able to get funds out to the public without it coming directly from the county. He says that their accounts payable would be a mess if they started cutting $45,000 worth of checks to landowners every year. So I think it kind of was a good avenue for them to be able to do it, and then it's grown. But I think we already had that relationship with Steve Anthony, and he kind of helped grow it. I do think that if anybody ever wants, we could come up with a little snippet of how this program has worked with the county, and you could bring that to your counties. And it does. I mean, there's thousands of acres every year treated for weeds on private ground in the county, which seems like a good in with counties.
And one more question. Steve was already working with this vegetation management for the county, and that was kind of your connection to them. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for Emily? Okay. Well, um, thank you all very much for joining us this morning. And if you have any other further questions, I'm sure you can definitely email Emily if she wouldn't mind throwing her email in the chat or anything like that. Or if you want to contact me, Carissa or Aubrey, either of us can put you in the right direction too.
And we'll put it in there right now.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, sorry I was late again, man.
No, it's okay. It was really cool to see how the Vivian gal, how much she's gotten like figured out in the past 3 years. That was crazy.
Mhm.
That was so cool.
Yeah, yeah, just bringing those maps to folks. And the map I have up now is kind of everywhere since we could find points for it. So it
Mm,
goes back to 2019, where we've completed site visits and people have applied for the cost share. So it's these maps I use for grant applications all of the time. And the technology to do it isn't that hard to get these points and make a fancy looking map to attach to grants.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, if anyone else doesn't have any other questions, we can end this coffee hour for the day. So thank you all for joining us. Have a great Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.